Hey guys, what's up, Phoenix? I'm back again in the EFT with a bit of a different video today. So I had a comment previously on one of the videos asking about my settings, and I've had a few videos asking what my specs are. So, first and foremost, my specs are, I'm running 16 gig of RAM, DDR4 RAM, obviously, on a 7700K, running at stock speeds, no overclock, and a 1080 Ti. Again, just all pretty random stock stuff, but relatively decent hardware. Now, what I've seen a lot of people have is a lot of people are kind of curious about what my settings are, so we'll jump into that and I'll kind of explain why they are what they are, but mostly I've just let them kind of sit at what it was when the game booted up. I've turned VSync off, upped, the screen resolution to 1920 by 1080 because that's the monitor that I'm running on. Full screen, I don't have a FPS limit on, but everything's running at high, with the exception of object LOD quality. That just leave at 3. Anything higher doesn't actually do anything. In fact, it kind of hinders your performance because it renders things that other people won't be able to see, so leaving it at 3 is your best bet. Object visibility, again, there's no real benefit to upping that at the moment. The maps are too small. Same with shadow visibility. And then SSAO is on high, contact SSAO high. SSR is off, as that kind of just fucks with your FPS and doesn't really add much of a benefit. Anisotropic filtering on, sharpen is down to 0, SSA and all of that is actually off, just because I prefer the way the game looks without any of those post-processing effects added on. Now, that's pretty stock standard, that's pretty basic, so there's not a lot to that. So obviously I'm not going to leave that as a whole video. My FOV is on 75 and head bobbing is all the way up, although that should be down. Don't know why that's like that. So pretty stock standard stuff. I haven't really changed. I haven't played around with it too much aside from the SSR and all of that post-processing, just because it's a personal preference thing. But the computer could handle it, and that's the thing. I can run Star Citizen on this with very little issue. Star Citizen's fucking pretty bad at the moment in terms of its FPS. But kind of the major reason I wanted to do this video, I wanted to point all this stuff out, was the game is just so poorly optimized. Right now, in the menu screen, it is using 100% of my GPU. Just fucking is. Why? Who the fuck knows? The game is so poorly optimized that there is massive, memory leaks in terms of GPU and your RAM. Sometimes it uses all 16 gig of RAM and 100% of my GPU just in the loading screen. Why? Who the fuck knows? What is it rendering? It doesn't really use much of your CPU, but just the game is so poorly optimized that that's kind of why I wanted to make this video. So, regardless of what your specs are, I have people with the exact same build as me, literally the exact same build as me, who get 30 frames per second max on factory. And there are people with 3-4-year-old gear that can somehow manage to achieve 80 frames per second on customs. It's a ridiculously high and ridiculously just very random set of just frames that anyone will get. So to kind of go over the frames that I tend to get on customs, mostly between 60 and 80 with this update, somewhat a little bit less, and that's kind of been a gradual trend that's been going on, so hopefully they do fix it at some point. But over the last couple of updates I've seen some gradual FPS decline, which is a little disappointing because the game should not be using 100% of my GPU. It just shouldn't. And it shouldn't be using all my RAM either. So ultimately, the game is just that poorly optimized that no matter what you run, you will experience some FPS decreases and some FPS spikes and lag spikes and all that fun stuff. That does depend relatively severely on the server status as well. So basically, what occurs in Escape from Tarkov used to occur, and still kind of does to an extent occur in the DayZ standalone as well, and Arma 3 as well. So if the server is having issues, if the server that you're playing on is experiencing load or whatever, your frames actually drop because it's reliant on the server to get some of those frames. That is something that happens in Tarkov, and was a major issue a couple of weeks ago when basically the game froze every 5 seconds for everyone playing because the servers were having a fit. So if your game is getting really bad frames, if it's stuttering or things like that, there's not a whole lot of hope for you. It's not your fault. Your rig is fine, so long as it meets the recommended specs. Your rig should be fine, even if it's just relatively modern. The issue lies with the game's actual optimization and what Battlestate have done in terms of improving that optimization, which is about nil. So, if the servers are having issue, you'll get bad frames. If the game just wants to freak out, you'll also get bad frames. So, that's kind of why I wanted to make this, was kind of just to clarify with people that if you are getting bad frames in Tarkov, it's not necessarily your fault. In fact, there's a pretty good chance, unless you're running on some real old hardware, that the game is actually having a fit in and of itself. But do play around with the options. Like I said, people have recommended to me, and that's why I've got it off. SSR, definitely turn it off. It will benefit you greatly. Your frames will increase and you won't notice much of a difference. I just don't like the kind of mouse acceleration that comes with VSync, so I always leave that off. But aside from that, it's all basically stock stuff. I haven't changed much, and changing it doesn't really benefit me in terms of performance anyway. Could lower texture quality to high and to low, and I'd probably get less frames than I do now, just because it all comes down to how poorly optimized the game is. So there are a few things. Like I said, turn all that post-processing stuff off first. You might notice a difference, especially with SSR. But in terms of your LOD quality, give that a lower if you are having issues. But again, leaving it at 3 should be fine. I wouldn't raise it because you'll probably just notice a decrease in FPS and no increase in quality. So there is not really much to the graphics in this game. In fact, it's actually pretty bland and pretty, there's quite a lack of it all chilling there. So anyway, like I said, just kind of recap, if you are having bad frame issues, chuck your in the comments below and I'll have a look, and chances are you're probably fine. It's most likely just a Tarkov issue. There is massive memory leak issues. It uses all your GPU for whatever reason and just throttles everything sometimes. So but yeah, if you are having issues, chuck your rig and your issue in the comments below and I'll try and have a look and see if there's anything that might be affecting it on your end, but there is a 90% chance it's just Tarkov being Tarkov. So anyway guys, hope you enjoyed, hope you found something useful in today's video. If you enjoyed, hit the like button. If you want to see more, hit the subscribe button. If you have any questions, queries, doubtful points, suggestions, or your own experiences with Tarkov and its lag and your system rig, again, chuck it in the comments below. Let other people know, what you've got, what you've experienced, because there may be someone else out there who's experienced something similar. And if you've managed to find a fix, for example, I know there used to be, if you're experiencing stuttering, you used to be able to boot the game from the EXE and not from the launcher. Although in that major recent patch, well not the major patch, but in that recent patch, that's been fixed, so you can't actually launch from the EXE. So if you're experiencing stuttering now, fuck you. You can't do anything. Anyway guys, like I said, hope you enjoyed. Thank you very much for watching. See you guys next time.